Welcome, everybody. I'd like to open this regular session meeting
Recording in progress.
at 6 o'clock, December 4th, 2023. And the first thing we'll do is the flag salute. Director Krebs, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Krebs. We acknowledge the original inhabitants of this area, the Snohomish people, and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered, and taken care of these lands. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and the water. We will strive to be honest about our past mistakes and bring about a future that includes their people, stories, and voices to form a more just and equitable society. At this time, I would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
I move to reschedule board action M3 and M4 to be presented with action taken during the January 3rd, 2024 regular session meeting.
We have a motion. Is there a second on the table?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, so I'm making this motion because the district is currently collaborating with union groups. And so I want to be able to give the union groups an opportunity to respond to our financial reports before we approve them.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda is outgoing board member recognition. This is presented by Dr. Zach Robbins, Superintendent.
Thank you so much, sir. Just want to acknowledge the service of our two board members who are no longer on the board. They served the community, and we want to recognize District Director for Area 2, or the immediate past District Director for Area 2, Paul Gallivan, who served from 2019 to 2023. And in the immediate past, District Director for Area 3, Kira Atchley, who served from 2021 until 2023.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Kira. We appreciate you. Next on the agenda is our annual Board of Directors reorganization. This will be managed and presented by Dr. Zach Robbins, Superintendent.
Thank you so much, sir. So at this time, this is the time of year where there is a reorganization of the Board of Directors. So tonight, we need to establish who will serve as president, who will serve as vice president, and who will serve as the legislative representative. So right now, I would like to take or call for a nomination, or who would like to nominate someone for the role of president?
I nominate Director Wade Reinhardt for the role of board president.
Is there a second?
I second.
Being moved and properly seconded. Now we can have discussion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the floor is closed to accept the nomination of Wade Reinhardt as president of the board. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
The motion carries. The next nomination that we need to make is for the role of vice president of the board of directors. Would anyone like to make a nomination at this time for the role of vice president?
I would nominate Director Connor Krebs for role of vice president.
Connor Krebs has been nominated for the role of Vice President. Can I have a second in that nomination?
I'll second.
Being moved and properly seconded, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Connor Krebs as Vice President of the Board of Directors, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
The final role that we need to have a nomination for is for the role of legislative representative. Would anyone like to make a nomination for the role of the legislative representative for the Marysville Board of Directors?
I nominate Director Kristen Michael for the role of legislative representative for the Marysville School District Board of Directors.
Is there a second?
Second.
Being moved and properly seconded, is there any discussion? Seeing none, to elect Kristen Michael as the legislative representative, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion carries. And that is the reorganization of the board. I will turn the gavel over to Wade Reinhardt.
Thank you, Dr. Robbins. I'm really excited for the new roles as well as especially Kristen. She has an amazing background and is very well suited to help drive some of our legislative initiatives. I'm excited. Again, thank you for that. At this time, next on the agenda is the superintendent's report, again, presented by Dr. Zach Robbins.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. We are going to have my report. First, I would like to, this actually came in as part of a written report, but I want to share some of this because we're excited for the students who are going to represent the district at the Junior All-State Bands and Choir this coming February. Ellie Glover, who plays clarinet, Belle Nelson, who plays alto saxophone. They attend 10th Street Middle School and were selected for All-State Band. In addition, Emma Gurges, Isabel Miller, and Taylor Riley are singers who attend Grove Elementary and were selected for the All-State Youth Choir. These students had to do a lot to earn these distinctions. There was a lot of practice. There were auditions. They're going to go in February for intense rehearsals over the President's Day weekend. And I just want to recognize those students and say thank you for your commitment to the arts. As we enter December, we have a lot to be proud of. I had the opportunity to visit Cedar Crest Middle School and Cascade Elementary School, where I visited with teachers and students. We had a great time during the school visit at Cedar Crest. The Cedar Crest staff is doing innovative things. The teaching there was fantastic and the students are happy. Thank you to Principal Worsterman and your staff for a wonderful, wonderful visit, and good luck for the rest of the school year. At Cascade, I had the opportunity to meet with the instructional and equity leadership teams. They shared academic data. They were so sharp. The teachers individually monitor student reading and math progress. They're putting literacy supports in place. They're doing amazing things there. So thank you, Principal Arakawa and the Cascade staff for a great school visit. Marysville for the holidays just occurred. The transportation did an amazing job decorating the bus that was our entry into the parade. Thank you to our employees in the transportation department for ensuring our district had a beautiful entry into the parade. Staff shared that it was great to see our students and families enjoying the festivities. And I want to thank all of our bargaining groups for agreeing to come together so we can work together to resolve our current budget challenges. We are all looking forward to more collaboration in the future. Next, I would like to take an opportunity to have the leadership team make some comments at this time regarding the record at the last board meeting.
I have a number of them to share. One comment was that the HICAP numbers are inaccurate in Dr. Hill's presentation. The data from the presentation came straight from our Skyward Student Information System, which uploads data to the State of Washington's attendance and funding software. That information is uploaded from each school site by our hardworking PSE, Public Service Employee staff members. There was a comment about inaccurate information coming before the board meeting and having board presentations ahead of time and posted online. The response is that we appreciate the interest in board presentations and the desire for the public to have all the slides ahead of time. However, there are often last-minute changes to presentations if additional data is found or in response to board member questions that are coming from the community. When we have the ability to better explain our data and respond to questions, we will update the presentations. There was a comment about Pinewood being underfunded for 2 years. There have been a number of comments made about specific school sites being underfunded. At the last meeting, it was said that Pinewood is underfunded. Working with OSPI and reviewing Title I, LAP, the Learning Assistance Program, and LAP High Poverty, the Learning Assistance High Poverty Program, Pinewood is currently overallocated in the 23-24 school year in the amount of $137,715 in LAP, the Learning Assistance Program. Our bargaining partners, the district leadership team, and our principals district-wide have reviewed the allocations and are working to resolve this disparity. There were comments about the staff not responding. Any members of the staff and or the community not receiving recognition of their email in a reasonable 48 to 72 hours should email the appropriate staff member supervisor next, unless there is an auto response that the initial staff member is out of the office. Staff and community members can also use the Let's Talk platform if they have not received a response.
Thank you. So it was brought up at the last meeting that LAP is a state-funded program and teachers were being moved. There have been no teachers that have been moved through any of the LAP programs. There have actually been no decisions made about moving teachers in any of the LAP programs. Also, we had at our last meeting, the district, a question was brought up, how is the district adding positions and finding money to pay for these positions? The district had the opportunity to fill open vacancies that were open vacancies through attrition, which were critical need areas, which dealt primarily with finance and HR. These two departments are instrumental in ensuring departments can hire, support, and pay for staff while maintaining our finances accurately, and also responding to state and federal guidelines.
All right, I have the last one, and this is about the civility policy 5161. During the last board meeting, it was stated that the general counsel created the new civility policy. However, this policy was actually written by the Washington State School Directors Association, or WASDA, as a recommended policy for school districts to adopt. Only minor modifications were made to the model policy based on what is needed to support our district staff.
And that is my report.
Thank you, Dr. Robbins. Next on our agenda, communications and reports. And we'll start with staff, student, or board reports. The first is Tribal Ambassador Report presented by Jessica Bustad, Executive Director, Tulalip Tribes Education Division. Welcome, Jessica. Is there a switch on there?
There you go.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Bustad. I am the Executive Director of the Tulalip Tribes Education Division, and I'm also a Tulalip Tribal member and a parent of a Marysville School District student. I'm grateful that we can be here today, especially acknowledging Eliza Davis as a Tulalip Tribal member on the Marysville School Board. We raise our hands to you for stepping up, and we look forward to seeing all of the good work that you'll do. So I wanted to have Matt Remley up here with me today. We just wanted to talk a little bit about Indian education and where Indian education is at in the Marysville School District. So when we think about the relationship between Tulalip and the Marysville School District, we know that it's always been a rocky relationship. I was reading through historical documents earlier today from our ancestors, our elders from the 50s and 60s who were writing letters back and forth between the district, the state, and the federal government, advocating for proper support and resources for our Native students in the school district. And so 70 years later, we're still here and we're still having the same conversations, that we still want proper support for our Native students. We want that advocacy at all levels, and we want to make sure that our programs are properly funded. So currently, which I've shared several times at several meetings, the Tulalip Tribes provides funding through MOU. We provide staffing support. And then we have our Indian Ed program that is funded through Title VI. And I just wanted to emphasize the importance of tribal consultation and having that meaningful and timely consultation, and that it is a federal trust responsibility to work with the tribal government and to ensure that our Native children have proper education. So with that, I want to give Matt some time to share a little bit about his program.
Thank you, Jessica. Matakiapi. Chante wastea na chuzab lako ya wakiamana tanamachiab. Eliza Davis Lila Wopila Tanka Tukashila na Stohob Shmakochegi Wanwichakiayo na Stohob Shoyategi Wanwichakiayo. I'm very happy to be here tonight, especially with Eliza up there, a former co-worker in the Indian Education Department. Very honored by seeing you up there and all the good work that you did and back then, and look forward to continuing that relationship as well to their other new board members as well. Well, my Lakota name is Wakia Wanatan. I'm from Standing Rock, but I've been working for the department here going on almost 20 years, and currently serving as program coordinator for the Indian Education Department. And so we kind of want to give a little bit of a background on Title VI specifically. Title VI comes out of treaty rights. Here, more specifically, it's the 1855 Point Elliott Treaty, of which tribes in this area were signatories of. One of the line items is a right to education via the federal government to tribal nations. Early on, that took the form of the Indian boarding schools, and we all kind of know about that horrific era and the things that it did to our communities. But in the 1970s, when tribes more asserted their rights over the treaties, the allocations of funds, at least for education, has come. It used to be called Title VII, now Title VI, and based on what the tribal governments themselves want to see those funds allocated for. And the kind of the pillars of it are for academic achievement, cultural enrichment, family and community engagement, as well as professional and learning the development opportunities for district staff. Funding for our Title VI, which is an annual grant, which I write. It's based off of the 506 forms. And if you have opportunity to look in the district's enrollment packets, you'll see a what's called a 506 or Indian Child Verification Form. And for any students who are either enrolled into a federally recognized tribe themselves or a descendant of a parent or grandparent who's enrolled into a tribe. And those numbers are submitted typically in the spring, and allocation to our district comes based on those numbers. We have the distinction, our department, and Eliza knows the history of going over those forms well. We actually have the highest number of not only Native students in the state of Washington in our district with over 1,300, but we also have the highest number of 506 forms submitted. Last year, our number was 1,029, and we're already at almost 1,200 this year. Our team has worked very hard to increase those numbers. The second area of funding that those numbers are submitted for is what's called the Johnson O'Malley program, which is also another federal program. And those numbers are submitted to the federal government. The Tulalip Tribes oversees and manages this particular grant, and is for funding opportunities for our tribal students within the schools for anything from PE clothes to tutorial services to summer school, and for summer school, credit recovery opportunities, and things like that. We currently have 5 liaisons, kind of 4.5. I'm a half liaison, half program coordinator. That has been a reduction from over the years. We currently get about 300,000 roughly in the grant. We did receive previously some BEA funding, I believe around 100,000 last year, which was cut from the department. But thankfully for Dr. Hill and Dana, they were able to supplement those losses with a grant they wrote. One other area we work in is providing opportunities to bring our Lashutsi language department into the school district. Former Senator McCoy, one of the legislative actions he was able to get passed was a bill that allows tribes to determine their own policies or their own mechanisms for identifying their teachers, certifying their own teachers, because colleges have particular programs for Lashutsi or whatever particular the tribal language is. So tribes themselves have their own mechanism for identifying their own teachers, and working with our Lashutsi language department, who have an outline for how to certify teachers through OSPI. We've been able to gradually get them into numerous schools in the district. It started with Quilceda Tulalip Elementary, and then has expanded. A few years ago, we were able to bring up Lashutsi to Marysville Pilchuck High School, as well as Tulalip Heritage High School. A couple years ago, we were able to get it up at Totem Middle School. And this year, for the first time, we got our Lashutsi classes being taught at Marysville Getchell High School. So theoretically, depending on which school a student started at, they could have the opportunity to have Lashutsi their entire K through 12 experience. Just looking for Jessica, see if there's anything I'm missing at this point, or and I just want to reiterate, there's another, I forget the name of the legislation, but it came out last year through the state legislature that board of directors, superintendents, district leaders are required now by state law to take a training through OSPI and the Office of Native Education on what exactly Jessica was talking about, meaningful consultation. And that's for all title programs. And sometimes there's been a lack of understanding in my 20 years of not really seeing true consultation, whether it's Title I all the way through impact aid. So hopefully we're on a better path this year and can see some real meaningful consultation with those various programs, as well as having an opportunity for say in the budgets of those programs. Because the reality is the tribes have the right to sign off on those or not. And so to have a strong, meaningful, collaborative relationship is more than just for the MOU. It's also for the various title programs. Last thing I'll leave you with, our liaisons do, and as well as our Tulalip Youth Advocates, who are our partners in the schools, are pretty tireless in providing support and to our students and families. And I don't have the graphic up here, but you're welcome, later on to go to OSPI, look at Marysville School District's graduation rates, look at what the grad rates for our Native students were just 10, 15 years ago, which was hovering around 28%, which is rather dismal. But thanks to the work and the collaboration between our departments and other partners within the tribe, for the last several years, our Native graduation rate has been over 70%. We actually exceed the state average for Native American graduation rates. There's a lot of time and energy and love, really, that is put into our students. I could keep going on, I guess, about a lot of the awesome work, but pass it back to Jessica.
Thank you, Matt, for sharing that information. I just want to highlight that the liaisons and advocates in the schools, they work tirelessly, like Matt said. They're working with admin, they're working with teachers, parents, families, supporting the students. And a lot of times they're the safe space in the school for our Native children. So I just want to make sure that we're supporting that program. And in addition to that, supporting social emotional learning and mental health support for our students. Our students do need that mental health support. And we want to also support the educators. I just want to, say that out loud, that the Tulalip Tribes, we support educators. They're the ones that are with our children every day. And so we want to make sure that educators and the paraeducators have the support that they need. We have to have healthy and thriving educators so that they can be in that proper space with our children. And the training that Matt had mentioned, that is a requirement for school directors, school board directors. They have one happening December 7th. But you can also follow up with Maxine, Alex. I believe I forwarded the information to Courtney and maybe Jody, but we can resend that too. So hopefully we can see some Marysville School District representatives at that training. And then we also have our annual Christmas powwow happening December 16th at the Francie Sheldon Gym at the Marysville Tulalip campus. So feel free to stop in. Thank you.
Thank you for that report, and we're looking forward to our collaboration through the next board to board. Thank you.
Matt, Jessica, thank you. I appreciate you guys. Next up, we have upcoming events, and that is presented by Jody Runyon, our communications director.
Thank you, President Reinhardt. And congratulations to our newly seated board members and our new board leadership. So December is a month of music. It's a great time to showcase our talented students and the teachers who lead them. So I'm not going to list off every single musical event, but there are copies on the back table. I encourage our board and our community to take a look at those and try to participate in as many of these as possible. I do want to point out a few things, however. I would like to mention that we did have a community budget meeting scheduled for December 6th. We have sent out a notice that has been postponed, temporarily postponed. So that does not mean that we will not hold another community budget meeting, but at this time it has been postponed so that we can hold some vital discussions with our labor partners in collaboration in this work. I would also like to point out, because this doesn't happen but once a year, on December 8th, it's Educational Technology Staff Appreciation Day. Oftentimes we don't have the opportunity to recognize our behind the scenes folks. Also on December 8th is Leah's Dream Magical Holiday Party, and that's always a fun event. Leah's Dream does some pretty amazing events for our community, and everyone is welcome. So we really appreciate that. On December 14th, there will be a family posada at Totem Middle School, and that is open to everyone. That's open to all families and staff district-wide. Then also on December 14th, it's a busy month, we have the NJROTC Annual Military Parade, which is always a event not to miss as we showcase our talented students who are seeking military careers. Jessica has already mentioned, thank you, Jessica, the Tulalip Tribes Holiday Parade on the 16th. And then, of course, we have winter break starting on December 16th, going through January 1st, and we come back to school on January 2nd. So thank you.
Thank you. A lot of stuff going on in December, that's for sure. Next on our agenda is the hearing of business of visitors.
Keeping this.
Am I? Oh, nope, not the next thing. Next thing on the agenda is our legislative updates. That'll be presented by Director Michael.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I was just going to ask if you could hear me okay. Sounds like you can. So I think I reported back in September that I had the opportunity to be a part of the WASDA convening to figure out its legislative agenda. And it was a lengthy meeting. And that agenda is now out. So I wanted to share that with folks. And our fellow districts have a lot of the same challenges we do with respect to frustration with the prototypical model. So some of the things that we're seeing will sound pretty familiar. WASD is asking to update the prototypical model to more accurately reflect school staffing models. And I think one of my favorite examples that Dr. Gonzalez uses is that we get funded 1.2 principals for an elementary school, when often really an elementary school runs with a principal and a vice principal. Fully funding special education is back on the agenda. And last year, the legislature made a substantial increase in special education funding. The state caps its contribution to school districts. It used to cap it at 13.5% of students. It moved it up to 15%, which is definitely a help. In Marysville, 18% of our kids qualify for special education funding. So there's a 3% gap there where we're providing services to kids, and the state's not providing an equal amount of support there. Capital facilities and bonds also on the agenda. And these I think are things that the education community has consistently brought to Olympia. There's some new things that are bubbling up for us to just stay aware of. Folks are talking about updating the MSOC account, which doesn't sound very exciting, but it's materials, supplies, and operations. And particularly insurance costs. So our fellow districts are talking about just the cost of doing business is going up. And I think in our last meeting, we had a little bit of a discussion about what our insurance costs are looking like and going up. We want the state to keep pace with that. There's some discussion about increasing classified and paraprofessional pay, increasing substitute pay. So if I remember right, last year was the year nobody could find substitutes and everybody was scrambling. It sounds like the state pay rate for substitutes hasn't been updated for about 6 years. So I think the state pay rate is along the lines of $170 a day, and most districts are paying $220 a day. So there's a couple of areas there that folks are talking about that we're going to want to keep an eye on. And then when Superintendent Reichdahl was with us this last week, he talked a little bit about capital gains tax funding, and that there's going to be a focus both on early childhood education for about half of that funding. And then I really shouldn't say half, 500. It sounded like 500 million was headed towards early childhood education, and then the rest might be towards capital facilities funding. And so that's an area we're going to want to watch as well. I am hoping that for our January meeting, we have a document that has gotten some input from all of you that we can adopt at that point as our legislative agenda. And I'm happy to take questions, and otherwise, that's my report.
Do we have any questions or discussion on the report? Okay, no discussion. Thank you, Director Michael. Now we're getting to hearing of business of visitors. The public comment portion of the regular meeting allows time for the board of directors to hear public comment. Per the Open Public Meetings Act, the board is not allowed to engage in open discussion with the public during a regular meeting. The board, the superintendent, or district personnel will not respond to public comment during the regular meeting, but comments may be referred to district staff for follow-up at a later date if needed or requested. Per policy 1430, the board requires that those addressing the board be residents or employees of the district or representatives of such residents or employees. parents or guardians of students enrolled in the district, or employees of businesses located in the district. Speakers are asked to present their name and affiliation to the district when they make public comments in person and remotely. Each individual has 3 minutes. A group of individuals may combine their time up to a 10-minute maximum with one spokesperson for the group. Individuals who wish to speak or combine their time need to sign in on the speaker's clipboard. The maximum time allotted for hearing of business of visitors per agenda is 30 minutes. Complaints or charges about employees are not permissible during public comment. These are issues to be addressed to the superintendent in writing, please. The board, superintendent, or district personnel typically do not engage again in direct conversation or give feedback during the meeting. Questions and comments from those addressing the board may be referred to staff for follow-up at a later date if needed. And board action and discussion is limited to previously published agenda topics per RCW 42.30. So on our list today, first up, we have Becky Roberts, Marysville School District MEA President. She has Alicia Corgilio donating her time. So you have 6 minutes. Welcome.
I also have Gail Bloom. She's going to be donating her minutes to me.
Okay, thank you. You have
Thank
9
you.
minutes. Thank you, Gail.
Good evening, President Reinhardt, Board of Directors, Dr. Robbins, and community members. My name is Becky Roberts, and I am the president of the Marysville Education Association. I would like to start my statement off this evening by reminding the school board that our students are our main priority in the work we do every day. It is our paramount duty to make ample provision for the education of all students residing within our district's borders. The Marysville community agrees that every student deserves a public education that is safe and respectful. We are also dedicated to making sure that the Marysville School District is the best that it can be. We will continue our efforts to collaborate with the district because that is what's best for Marysville School District and our students. It is truly heartbreaking, however, that the Marysville School District has become known throughout the state for our $17.5 million budget deficit, and not much more than that. We are also known for being one of the first districts in the state in many years to be placed in binding conditions, which has raised many questions from our membership over the past year. The district's own press releases blame our budget woes on the state and the community for not passing the levy in 2022. We, the staff and community, have not seen any accountability taken by the superintendent for our current situation. As the person in charge of the district, he is responsible for every decision that is made, both good and bad. The MEA membership has expressed their frustration and serious concern over the district's claims of not being able to make payroll, frustrations around how they're being treated as employees, frustrations about not being given the proper resources to serve their students, and overall frustration in the lack of transparency about what is actually going on. In all our efforts to be collaborative and understand the district's perspective to answer to the MEA membership's frustrations, we have not been presented with any solutions that would be considered collaborative. No matter how many times we have met through labor management, grievance meetings, monthly superintendent meetings, budget meetings, and program meetings, we are not being heard. Marysville students and the community deserve a superintendent who addresses problems, ensures safety for all students, engages with his staff and community members, uses collaborative decision-making practices, and who is a good steward of the district's programs and finances. The superintendent and his executive cabinet have refused to take action to improve the culture and climate in our school district. With that said, last Monday, the MEA membership met and discussed the various issues and financial information regarding the district's budget deficit. In that membership meeting, MEA members approved the MEA membership to move forward and hold 2 votes of no confidence. 1 vote of no confidence in the superintendent and a vote of no confidence in the superintendent's executive cabinet. The MEA membership took these actions.
Board members, may I remind you that our policies say that complaints about individual employees should be addressed in writing. That's per Board Policy 1400 and the state rules about open meetings.
The MEA membership took these actions because of the following issues our membership, students, and community are facing. Mismanagement of district finances and special program resources, lack of transparency and decisions.
And board members, may I please remind you that any complaints about individual employees need to be in writing per board policy. May I please remind you that we have board protocol, and if you can't be orderly, you'll need to leave.
These are not specifically toward any people, specific people in general. Lack of transparency in decisions being made and not providing clear information when it comes to staffing decisions, the district's budget, and educational program delivery models. Employees district-wide are being forced to work in intimidating, retaliatory, and unsafe working conditions. Employees are afraid to speak out in fear of being retaliated against or fired. In fact, many dedicated individuals have resigned or have been forced out due to the deplorable ways they were treated while working here at the Marysville School District. Student services are being changed with no empirical evidence to drive the proposed changes, and the staff, parents, and community are being left in the dark.
Board members, may I please remind you, State Rule RCW 42.30.240 says that boards may not listen to commentary that renders orderly conduct at a meeting unfeasible. And I am just concerned that this vein of commentary may lead to a decline in orderly conduct in board operations.
Thank you. Becky, if you could direct your your comments to the district as a whole, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. The district has proven over and over again their inability to fulfill the basic job requirements, as well as providing staff working conditions that are free from abusive, intimidating, threatening, or harassing behavior. The lack of competency and accountability must stop. With that said, last Wednesday, the MEA membership met and 71% of the membership cast their votes. The vote of no confidence in the superintendent passed with 96% approval rate, and the vote of no confidence in the executive cabinet passed with 93%. The MEA membership has spoken. They do not have confidence in the administration to lead the Marysville School District. Therefore, the MEA membership demands the Marysville School Board take the following actions. Do not renew the superintendent's contract. Immediately remove the current chief financial officer. Do not renew the contracts for the district leadership team. Provide MEA, other employees, and the community with an accurate account of the district's current budget. Begin serious efforts to recruit, hire, and retain local qualified and trained ESA staff. Allow MEA members to receive clock hours for trainings that take place during the contracted day, as was done in prior school years. Allow MEA building leadership team members to meet during the contracted day, as was done in prior school years. Correct past unilateral decisions made to change special program models. This would include not making any changes to the LAP programs this school year. Publicly apologize to the MEA membership for not being good stewards of the MEA MSD collective bargaining agreement. Follow the MEA MSD collective bargaining agreement. Marysville students, families, and educators are joining together to demand real change in our school district. When we stand together, we have the power to make our schools places where every student, staff, and community member feels safe and welcome. MEA is united for our students because Marysville deserves better. Thank you very much. And we have a copy of our presentation for you.
Alicia Gale. Next up, we have Raymond Sheldon Jr., Marysville community member.
I didn't get to speak the last time. New board members, Liza, Grandpa would be happy. He has been. Just a few things, just to clear up, and I know I'm supposed to talk, I understand I'm supposed to talk to the board, but when we went through the, I hope we can clean it. When we went through the agenda, I know the superintendent can do whatever he wants, but if he's going to have speakers, I wish they put him on the list so we know prior that they are speaking. So the spill you had before you were talking that if there was answers or they had questions or answers for the people for the last meeting, at least they can give them to them, because I didn't have to sit back and listen to the whole thing if it didn't pertain to me. If we're going to go somewhat by Robert Rules of Orders of some kind, I hope we can do that and move forward. The problems, when I was at the meeting last week, the problems started not just a year or two ago. It happened when Mr. Sullivan was here and David Cram was here. He had told all of us, well, I think it was just three of us, when it used to be fun, it would just be Amy and I and Chris Davis in here. Now it seems to be a full room. So I should almost think I should be able to stay home now and not worry about things anymore. It was going on there. And I know they were talking $1 million a month. And then somebody brought up the 8.2% that should be saved. That's a lot of money. We've got to do more than that if we were going to be able to save money into an account if this ever happens again. Let's hope not my lifetime, that everything will be just fine, because that's a lot of money here. Besides, if you have to pay back a loan or whatever, you got to add the 8% on that to include that. We'll be saving for quite a bit, or we're going to have to cut back more. And I think I was just looking for how many high school kids here, because when I was there last week, there was quite a few high school kids that were a little upset that thinking that they wouldn't have wrestling anymore, or basketball or football. That's a big concern. If we're going to cut those things back, I hope we can talk to the WIA to get permission for those kids to go somewhere else. Because I don't know, it seems like that's their lifetime. I know years ago I said to myself, oh, I didn't get Amy's minutes. That's fine. So just mine.
Just yours.
Just yours. Okay. And just if we can fix those things on the agenda, I read quite a bit. Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. And small minds discuss people. Eleanor was pretty smart, I think. And we hope we can keep that in our minds while we're going through this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Next up, we have Finley Howard. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. My name's Finley, and I'm extremely grateful to be speaking here today. Some of you may already know me, as I'm heavily involved with middle school drama at Cedar Crest, and some of you may not. For those of you who don't, I'm currently an 8th grader at Cedar Crest Middle School. I love my school. I love the extracurriculars such as drama, which gives kids a place to express themselves in ways that they never could. I love our high cap program, which has allowed me to reach academic heights that I never thought possible. And most of all, I love the people. The reason I'm speaking here today is because I've been in Marysville schools since the start of my education, and I truly believe they've played a massive role in making me the person I am today. And this is why it pains me to say this, but we're screwed. Plain and simple, we need millions of dollars that we don't have. I'm not going to sugarcoat this because we all know it's true. This is a fact. So why are we still blaming? Sure, it makes us feel better, but the fact is that no matter whose fault it was, there's no going back. We're in this messed up situation no matter who we put the blame on. We're a great city filled with amazing intellects who need to stop spending all their time blaming. We need to spend time on finding solutions as a community. I know that the options are not ideal, but we at least need to talk about them and come to a decision as a cohesive unit and not as a divided group. Sitting around and blaming does nothing to help me feel confident in my future. I deserve to know the future 4 years that decide which college I go to, my career, my life. Me and my peers deserve to know. I don't want to leave. I love this community. I love my friends. I love the teachers who have inspired me more than they know. Mr. Manns of the world, Mr. Oakes of the world, Miss McEnaw's of the world. These are people who have shaped me, and the fact that the school district that they and others help make truly amazing is falling apart leaves me with an emotion that I can only describe as heartbroken. It breaks my heart to see a community that I love with all of my being sit around and argue and fight. I don't blame you. I want to fight too. But we need to fight not to blame, but fight to find solutions for the future of this district and the young people who live in it. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for the board for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Finley. Appreciate you. Next up, we have Chris Davis.
Hey, Chris Davis. I'm going to talk to that little girl right there. So sometimes when people say that they want you to be civil, they mean that they want you to respect them. And normally respect is a mutual understanding. But when it's coming from one person down to you and they're saying, respect, and it's something that, doesn't make sense. It's not something that they hold themselves accountable to. It's kind of like bedtimes, a little weird. But that's one of those wrong things. Now, when we talk about, taking things away from people, it's usually not from the people that do all the work. It's usually from like places that you can cut things, like when, your family's doing the monthly budget. You don't cut groceries and you don't cut electricity, you don't cut water, but you cut things like going out for pizza or like a really expensive haircut. Maybe you go to Supercuts. That's it. So the little girl over there.
Thank you, Chris. Emily Smith.
Good evening. I'm Emily Smith. I teach the first grade high cap, second grade high cap, second grade gen ed classroom. I'd like to address the concessions made in our district since 2022 to mitigate the lack of apportionment. Concessions have been deeply made to areas and staffing that directly impact our learners. Our community, our families are asking that concessions be made furthest from our students in classrooms, playgrounds, and lunchrooms. Concessions have been ongoing at all school levels since 2022.
when certified staffing was cut and classroom size increased so that all classrooms had as many students as possible and sometimes more. In the past 2 years, 22-23 and 23-24, a total of 80 FTE certified teachers and also paraprofessionals were cut for a total of 132.4 FTE according to the budget presentation last week. Additionally, we have fewer assistant principals, which also directly impact learners who need additional support. Of all these staff members, all of these staff members are needed by our learners to grow and to succeed in school and beyond. Another form of concessions is the loss of classrooms through reconfiguration, moving teachers to new buildings or reassigning them. This has been done to alleviate overload, but stops learning momentum nurtured since the beginning of the school year. The concessions impacts all learners in these classrooms. Valuable learning opportunities are lost in classrooms that must essentially start over in reconfigured classrooms. The loss of paraprofessional times means lack of supervision at the crosswalks, on the playground, in the lunchroom, and at parent drop-off and parent pickup. These are unsafe conditions that students are placed in because concessions place the responsibility on students with a large student-to-adult ratio. At one lunch, there are 2 grade levels with 1 paraprofessionals to supervise 126 students. This concession is dangerous. Additionally, we have lost LAP funding for students below grade level in reading, as well as Tier 2 programs for our MLL learners who need the most support to succeed. These concessions impacts are not equitable. We have also lost funding for our enrichment program in HiCap. I have given you multiple examples of many concessions our teachers, paraprofessionals, support staff, and learners have made to help alleviate some of the budget deficit. Let's start making concessions at the top, as the parents asked at the budget meeting. Their children, our learners, and the staff who work with them have made concessions for the past 2 years. Thank you for considering our request.
Emily. Next up, we have Christine Cobb, and it looks like we have Kyla Razor donating her time to Christine for a total of 6 minutes.
Good evening, Board of Directors. Thank you for your service. My name is Christine Cobb. This is my 11th year teaching in Marysville School District, and I am a union representative at Pinewood Elementary. First, I want to address the superintendent's report given by his executive board. I would like to address that I don't think it's fair to give a one-sided perspective of what happens in meetings between labor groups and managements discussing LAP funds. If we want to discuss what transpires, then a joint communication should be presented. You decided the new allocation yourself regarding LAP with no data to back your reasons. In the previous board meeting, the statement that was made regarding LAP teachers, that it was a proposed move, that we had heard there was a proposed move for LAP teachers. So we didn't say they were for sure being moved. We heard that there was a proposal for that. I would also like to address the statement regarding the discrepancy in the HiCap class sizes. That was based on the fact that when you pulled data for class sizes, you only pulled 1 grade level for the teacher of our 1-2 split class. You did not pull the data for both grade levels. So that is where the incorrect statement was made regarding class sizes. You also listed a 1st grade HiCap class at Liberty Elementary that does not exist. I just wanted to correct your misinformation. Now on to my statement. Dear Board of Directors, I address you today with a deep concern for the educational support provided to our multilingual learners in the Marysville School District, particularly in the light of our Imagine Learning program. While the program has been a crucial tool in fostering success among our multilingual students, disconcertingly, it was initially deemed unavailable this academic year due to budget constraints, leaving educators, parents, and students at a disadvantage. It is our collective aspiration as educators to witness the success of all learners, and programs like Imagine Learning play a pivotal role in supporting students navigating the challenge of learning English while being exposed to a different language at home. The struggle for mastery in English is essential for academic progression, and that can take years. At Pinewood Elementary, we have students representing diverse linguistic backgrounds, such as Spanish, Vietnamese, and Niger-Congo arriving at school with limited exposure to English. The isolation and fear that I have witnessed these students experience without peers who share their first language is disheartening. I can't personally imagine what it would be like to enter a classroom and not be able to communicate with anyone. This year, both my class and that of my teaching partner includes students directly from Vietnam and also an African country, respectively, facing linguistic challenges with no peers to communicate with. No one. Imagine Learning is a program that was thought to be unavailable due to budget constraints. And this program would provide crucial support in expediting their English language acquisition. Upon investigating, it came to my attention that the district had allocated $43,000 for Imagine Learning in August, promoting questions about the uneven distribution of the program among schools and students. Strangely, despite the budget cut claims, the program was miraculously made available last week to our students after persistent inquiries. I was shocked. I am compelled to inquire why, after a third of the school year has transpired, are students now gaining access to Imagine Learning? These same students that sat scared in my classroom and my teaching partner's classroom that could not communicate with other students. They could not communicate with me. Who is responsible for the loss of this valuable learning time and the emotional toll that these students have endured? Accountability is crucial, especially when the district leadership tasked with expertise and leadership seems to fall short in ensuring essential learning support to our students. In recent public statements, the district acknowledged having the lowest test scores in Snohomish County. The impact of leadership incompetence on student success is undeniable, particularly when paid learning supports are withheld. This raises critical questions about the acceptability of such leadership. Furthermore, I would like to draw your attention to Policy 5161, Civility in the Workplace. This particularly hits hard home for me, as I have been investigated this school year after speaking out at board meetings with no foundation. If this policy is to be a guiding principle within our school district, it must extend to district leadership, and it should be enforced consistently. Accountability, corrective action, and discipline mechanisms should be in place for district leadership as well. The recent communication on November 27th concerning the district's low achievement status and comparisons with other districts leaves much to be desired in terms of civility towards the staff. Additionally, recent communications have portrayed our school district in a negative light, undermining the morale of teaching staff. Rather than canceling teacher roundtable meetings, a more fruitful approach would be to engage in open dialogue with educators who intimately understand the challenges students face. I had a little bit more, but I didn't, I guess, have time. I'm happy to give it to you in writing.
Christine, please submit your the rest of your comments for the minutes. Is that all right? Thank you. And then lastly, let's see. Actually, we have Christy Toutfest.
Hi, I'm Christy Toutfest. I'm supposed to give my address, 5310 129th. I live by Schultes. And I came tonight because I was told we were presenting our SEIU budget for you to vote on. And am I correct in that you postponed it till January? No?
Not the SEIU budget. That's the overall district finance
Okay.
review for
I
this month.
was just trying to figure it out. Okay. So overall, we're pleased to come forward with this budget, this contract for SEIU 10 and 12 month. 10-month employees include bus drivers, security, nurses. We, the paraprofessionals, we are seeing lots of places where sometimes the budget could be maybe used a little bit more effectively. I have a few really big concerns right now. My first concern is that that we have trust and respect between our group and any people we're bargaining with and talking to in our district. Having low trust in you right now, the community, we need to know that we can trust you and that we can count on your integrity. I am really hoping that, you know, as we teach kids on the playground and everything every day, that we can have integrity and trust with our leadership. And that also comes to respect. Respect is so important. When we show each other respect, then we can move forward. And I think that's one of the things that's been missing. And I'm really worried about that. I have several schools I'm really concerned about. One, Kellogg Marsh has some classrooms that are understaffed enough that paras are getting hurt. Teachers are stressed. We have a para leaving the district. And that makes me concerned because everything there is tenuous as it is. I am concerned about our 18 to 21-year-old programs. Legally, we have breaks and lunches, and there's no scheduled lunches and breaks for those people. I don't know how that happened, but I'm asking that you fix that. It's legal that they get a break and a lunch, 2 breaks and a lunch, and it is time for those folks to have that. And I don't know exactly how you're going to do it, but I know that you can figure it out 100%. And then lastly, I'm just asking that we come together and we work together. I know that sometimes that's easy to say, but it's important that we do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. And we have enough time for the last person on our list, Frank. How do I say your last name, Frank? Busicho? Thank you. Welcome.
So my name is Frank Busicio, and I'm a grandfather, and 5 of my sons have graduated from Marysville-Pilchuck. Most of them started at Marshall, went all the way through into MP. And historically, I've been extremely proud of the Marysville School District. Out of my 5 boys, 4 of them graduated from college. One even gave a lecture last week at Arizona State. And we're proud. And when I sit here at these school board meetings, I get really concerned. I'm here to talk about a law that was passed in April, House Bill 1230. And this House bill was implemented in this past July. And it says that on every website of every school district in Washington, there needs to be a direct link to the Department of Health regarding guns, gun safety, ammunition, drugs, alcohol. There needs to be in a prominent place that direct link. I looked at 4 of our websites in different schools. I didn't see it. I didn't see it at all. Now, it's probably not in a prominent place, or I'm not very good at looking at websites. It was not under safety and security. It was not under engage, inspire, and programs. It was not under announcements. So has this not been implemented? Given the light of what happened on October 24th, 2014, I feel that Marysville should have this link to the Department of Health regarding gun safety and ammunition on their websites. Some recent literature said that 70% of the children know where their parents have hidden their guns. 70% where their guns are hidden. And out of this 70%, 20% have found the guns and handled their parents' guns without their parents' knowledge. Thank you.
Frank. All right, thank you, everybody. That concludes our hearing of business of visitors. Next on the agenda, we have the approval of the minutes. I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the work study and regular session minutes of November 20th, 2023 as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Okay, no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. Do we have any discussion?
Gifts.
Gifts to the district. Do you have that handy?
Yep. Contributor, Marysville Getchell Green and Gold Booster Club gave a gift to Marysville Getchell High School to the purpose being the football huddle, HUDL video subscription in the amount of $2,241.94. Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories gifted to Marysville Getchell High School to the math department and MG science department, $100. Total amount being $2,341.94.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for the gifts to the district. That is very generous. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Next, we have, we're moving into our board action section of the agenda. First up, we have the Snohomish County Human Services and Marysville School District contract presented by Dr. Michelle Roper, Executive Director of Special Education and Student Services.
All right. Good evening, directors and Superintendent Robbins. Tonight, we are here to seek approval for a contract between Marysville School District and Snohomish County Human Services to fund student support advocates, also known as SSAs, and also specifically to add an additional student assistant professional, also known as an SAP, to support at MP with drug and alcohol prevention. I'd like to thank Mrs. Madrigal for her unwavering support of our Marysville students and their needs, and Snohomish County Human Services for their partnership and collaboration. Sandra?
Good evening, Board of Directors and Dr. Robbins. So this is in direct relationship to, as Michelle, Dr. Roper stated, student support advocates. And so This funds our student support advocates district-wide that help with making sure that students' academic needs are addressed and also mental health concerns are addressed within the school district, and working with building teams to really build up really good tiers of support for students. So that is what their role is. And then the student assistant professional is a very exciting aspect to add to MP. We already have one up at MG, but this is something that was much needed at MP. So we were able to secure that, which was really great. So we worked diligently with our community collaborators, the ESD 189 with Chris Jury. So shout out to him as well. And then also to Amanda Frankie with Snohomish County, who also partnered with us as well. So we have created some really great partnerships with it, which is a great win for us. So really looking forward to these partnerships moving forward. Do you have any questions?
You need to have a motion on that first.
I move to approve the contract between Snohomish County and the Marysville School District for the Student Support Advocate Program and Social Emotional Learning Support.
I second.
We have a motion and a second, so now we are open for discussion. I'll start on my left, my right, your left. Director Hobie?
I don't think I have any questions.
Okay. Director Krebs?
No, I think it's student support is so important. I think we've heard that throughout today in the public hearing section. I know we heard about that during our work study session. And so I really appreciate all the work that went into securing this. This is going to be a major benefit to the district and at no cost to the district. And so, yeah, just I appreciate you and your team for working so hard to secure this contract. Thanks.
Thanks.
Director Michael?
Well, I would just echo Director Krebs' comments there. Thank you so much for the work that you and your team have done to secure this grant funding. We know the services are just so important to our kids. So thank you for that.
Director Davis?
Yes, I also echo that this support services are so important for our students. I had a chance to read through it, and it's going to be an amazing opportunity for our students who require that extra support. Good job, Sandra. Miss Madrigal.
Thank you. Glad you're on the board, Eliza.
And
Graduated
reps,
together.
James, you're up.
So the contract says it funds 3 people. So the 2 other ones that aren't going to MP, those are pre-existing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Great job getting this. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I have no questions. I just think it's great. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Ditto for everybody. Thank you for the work and the light reading.
Yeah.
It's
No problem.
like a tree here. Great. Thank you so much. At this time, I will take a vote on the motion.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up, SEIU 925, 10, and 12 collective bargaining agreements. Presenter Alvin Cooper, Executive Director of HR, and the SEIU leaders. The leader, did you want to tell that?
Well, President Talfus is coming up. First of all, congratulations, President Howard, and Director Boybe. Welcome. So there you guys are. First, I want to say thank you. It wasn't an easy road. I came in at the 11th hour, 11:59 and 59 seconds, and had to deal with understanding frustrations and rebuilding trust. But at long last, we got something accomplished, and it's done for the SEIU 10 and 12. Contract is done for 2 years. We could not have done it without some trust in each other. And that trust is still building, and we're working on it, and we're learning. And I keep coming up saying that we're rebuilding and working on the PTSD that has happened in the district, whether it is among staff or district personnel. We're working on it, and we keep showing up and keep listening. So I stand before you with a motion to accept the SEIU Service Employees International Union 925 two-year collective bargaining agreement, September 2023 to August 2025.
Do we have a motion from the board?
I move to approve the 2-year 2023 through 2025 collective bargaining agreements for the Service Employees International Union 925.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. That opens us up for discussion. Again, I'll start on my right.
Good job.
Thank you, ma'am.
Don't have much else to say, but
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you pointing out the fact that that it took some trust building. The process took some trust building because that also identifies the fact that there wasn't trust there, or there was a lack of trust. I don't think that that is individual to SEIU. I think that there's trust that needs to be gained in a multitude of different communities. And so I really appreciate the hard work, Alvin, that you put into working with our union partners and getting this contract underway and seeing it to the end. So I appreciate it.
Director Michael?
Congratulations to all of you for completing the contract. And again, thanks for all of the work rebuilding trust. Are there any highlights that you would like to share just in terms of budget impact and whatnot for this year?
Highlights.
I think
Come on,
we
Christy.
managed to work through one set of directors last year. And then I do have, was it Greg who was the only one who we were bargaining with? And then we started again in September. So it was quite a shift. And we did come to agreement with getting the IPD from the state. That was the highlight of the biggest concern.
Perfect. That was the highlight I was looking for. Thank you.
I will say, President Talfas reminded me we need to give a shout out to our historian Greg and me in the doorway. Greg, since he was one of the only members that through the changeover, coming in at 11:59, he brought me up to speed on what was done. So the IPD was one highlight, but I think overall, the idea that we are building trust, we are listening to each other, go a long way.
Director Davis, any comments?
Just that congratulations as well. And just to reiterate that it is good that we're able to finalize this contract because all these services that the SEIU employees provide are pivotal and instrumental in helping to grow our students and run our district.
James?
Very happy about this contract passing. Unions are a very important part of making sure staff get paid a fair wage and just bettering the district. And yeah, I hope the trust can continue to build with not just with the SEIU and the other union and the community as a whole.
Yeah, I'm just going to say something similar to Jimmy, but it is spectacular to see that the new executives are coming in, forming strong relationships and ties with the unions, and hopefully these will be long-lasting, positive, most importantly, productive relationships, for a long time to come. I understand that through the administration change, it was probably very tiring and it was very exhausting for the union leadership and the people coming in and having to pick up these pieces. And hopefully it'll act as almost a trial through fire into Phoenix from the ashes, some much more beautiful coming out the other end.
Thanks, Dominic. I don't have much more to say that you didn't just say, Dominic. You kind of took a lot of the words out of my mouth.
Does that a lot?
You're very good at that.
Oops.
I would say thank you. You all are appreciated. And, I use this term a lot, and maybe, some of you are going to roll your eyes at me, but the only way out is through. And you guys have done it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this time, you got some more to say?
No, we're waiting for you to vote on it. They didn't vote yet. Hold on.
How long do you want me to delay?
It's like, do we wait?
Get it
Just
done?
hang on.
Get it done?
Getting around.
All right. At this time, I'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so as per the amendment motion earlier, we are tabling number 3 and number 4 for later discussion. So that moves us right into our follow-up items. Work study dates, board meetings, and upcoming meetings and events. January 3rd is our next work study and regular session meeting, so we give you guys the rest of the month off from us. January 17th, work study and regular session meeting coming up as well. And then lastly, or second to last, is our superintendent comments. Dr. Robbins.
No further comments.
After that is board comments. Again, I will start from my right, your left, and proceed that way. Director Hoiby.
I feel like we had a productive meeting today. It was a good time, good energy for the fight that we have ahead of us. So, feel optimistic.
For those of you who have attended previous board meetings, this might sound like a broken record, but it seems like for the past 2 or 3 months, we've been able to manage to fill every seat in the boardroom, which for the last year and a half before then, as Chris Davis mentioned during public comment, or it was either Chris or Ray, one of them mentioned that it was only them two ever in the boardroom, and I appreciate it because I think the only way that we can make an informed decision up here is if we hear input from the community, staff members, and today a student. And so I appreciate it, and I thank you for sticking out until the end of the meeting. Most times people rush the doors after public comment because they got their kind of fill. But y'all stayed until the end, and so we appreciate it. Thank you.
Director Michael.
Well, first, I want to welcome our new board members. We're so happy to have you with us. I also want to thank everyone for being here tonight. And I really appreciate the folks that showed up for the community budget meeting. And what it tells me is that we have a lot of people who are really invested in the success of our schools and that our schools matter to our community. And frankly, we need that right now more than ever. Mr. Sheldon, I always appreciate your comments, but I really want to thank you for your wisdom this evening and your perspective. You noted that our financial challenges started a while ago. And the reality is that we have school districts across the region that are experiencing, huge deficits in their budget as well, and they're having to make significant changes. Our difference happens to be that we didn't have a levy to help cushion some of those additional losses. And it's made navigating that a lot more challenging. Again, I appreciated the comments of many of our speakers tonight. And Finley, I really appreciated some of the things that you had to say. We're going to need to find a way to work together so that we can get through this. I know we have a team of folks that are dedicated to doing it and are working tirelessly. I get emails at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning from folks that are working on things. So I know we have tough decisions ahead of us, and I know it's challenging when we've had some challenging few years, but I have every belief we can get to the other side. I keep holding on to that example of the Shoreline School District, who was in a similar straits and came out not only with stronger finances, but better academics. And I think that's, the thing that we all share in common is that we want the best education we can provide for our Marysville students. So again, thanks to all for being here tonight and for participating.
Yaya, I just want to say thank you folks for being here. I feel so honored and humbled to be a part of this school board and to have a community that believes in my ability to be a voice for them. And I am grateful for the presentations that Jody and Jessica and Matt did, and for also honoring all the good work that our students are doing. And I want to also say that the young man Finley is right, that we have to find a way to work together to move through this difficult time for this school district. And I believe that we can do it. Otherwise, I would not have tried to get onto this board and take the role. I think that there's a way out. There's a way through, to echo what Wade said. So again, I'm looking forward to getting in here and doing the hard work and helping us to move through all of this. So, Egwit Seed.
Thank you.
When I heard Kristen and then Eliza both mention Finley, I was like, dang it, because I was going to talk about him too. Oh, okay. I was going to say that I wanted to find him after the meeting and try and recruit him to the student representatives to the board, but oh well, maybe next time. But he is a very well-spoken young man. And then congratulations, Beth and Eliza, on the new board positions. Very excited about that. I've known Eliza since like elementary school, so there you go. I think that's about all I have to say. Madam.
All right. Of course, I will congratulate you too as well, and I will also give Finley a shout out. I'll be totally honest. I was whispering to Jimmy all the while. I was like, "This kid's an 8th grader." Seriously? Like, I wish I was able to speak like that.
Oh yeah. All three of the teachers he mentioned, I had.
But I wish I was able to talk like that in 8th grade. And of course, I just want to thank community members, teachers, for coming and sharing, because I personally feel as though, no matter how hard it is to hear, the exchange of information and the exchange of insight is crucial to any kind of middle ground and mediation. Many have said to be human is to be seen and to want to be seen and to exchange, the thoughts that we have. And so I feel as though you all coming out here, taking time out of your lives to share what you have to say, that is a crucial step in any kind of solid, goal-oriented future progress. And I think it's the foundation of future relationships. So I just want to thank you for that. And thank you all for coming.
Thanks, Dom. Oh, this going last thing is rough. Again, welcome, board members. We are better for you as a whole. I'm really looking forward to working with you and having 5 people up here, Kristen. She got it.
I'll try not to be sick next time.
Recovering from COVID. Hope you're feeling better. The work study, I think is very beneficial, and thank you for the leadership team helping us out with some of the historical efforts that kind of align with some of the efforts that we have to make it through this time around. I do want to recognize also the hard work and the endless hours that have been put in by our superintendent, the leadership team, and our labor groups in working forward to get through. Again, the only way out is through. I am very proud of those musical all-stars that Dr. Robbins mentioned earlier. The musical arts and choir and drama, Finley, is a huge part, along with any of our other co-curricular activities that's so valuable and important for that whole student.